Good morning, everybody. As you all know, I am a HMRC whistleblower. In January in October 2003, I was viciously assaulted outside Downing Street and left in a pile of blood by neo-Nazis who hated my academic research on the BNP and had been harassing me for the last 2 years to stop it by way of making death threats, making false sexual allegations, which you can all see on the internet, by labelling me a suicide bomber, blah blah blah. After the assault, I made it quite clear I wasn't going to stop my academic research because neo-Nazis had stabbed me outside Downing Street. So, as a consequence, I was then targeted at work, and a few months later, a member of staff at the tax credit office in Preston where I worked, Tony Smith, put in a complaint against me along with 5 other members of staff: Nick Ivel, Phil Davis, Tim Fisher, and my line manager Anthony Sansfield, 4 other members of staff. Smith's complaint, he accused me basically of bullying, of expressing support for suicide bombers, exactly what neo-Nazis had been doing for the last 2 years, and which I had reported to my line manager, not only to my line manager, but to the police. If you want to know all about those threats and how I ended up getting stabbed outside Downing Street, then read my autobiography, Dead Packy Walking, the study on the BNP, which you can buy on the internet. Explains how I became the target of a far-right hit list because of my academic studies on the BNP, which I was pursuing as part of my master's degree at the University of Central Lancashire while I was working for HMRC. Anyway, after I got stabbed, neo-Nazis took offence to the fact I wasn't going to stop my research. I was then targeted at work. 5 members of staff put in complaints against me. One of them, as I said, was Tony Smith, who, as I've already told you, complained I expressed support for suicide bombers, bullying, exactly the same complaints that neo-Nazis have been making about me. But Smith's complaint went further. He also complained I was an extremist for heckling the BNP. I'm going to show you the complaint now. Here's Tony Smith's complaint. It was sent to Carrie Kowaloki, a senior manager at the tax credit office at Dydam House, and it says, I wish to make a formal complaint about Mr. Andi Ali with regards to his extreme political views, in my opinion, and his bullying attitude towards me. And then here is the complaint. It says, on the BNP, sometime during the spring of 2003, I can't remember the date, I overheard a conversation at lunchtime between Andrew. That's the suicide bombers one. The BNP one is, on another occasion I saw Andrew on the television heckling duly elected members of BNP councillors as they were attending their first council meeting. Although these councillors are members of the British National Party, the people of Burnley elected them. I asked Andrew at work if it was him, to which he replied, yes, I was there doing my research for my university course. From what I saw briefly on the television, that was not research. In my opinion, Andrew's actions as extreme as those people that he was heckling. And there can be no place inside the civil service for anyone with either of those extreme views. He then goes on to complain about bullying attitudes. I will come back at a later date with a video on the complaint about bullying attitudes and the complaint about suicide bombers he made at a later date. So there you have it. That was the complaint he made. I was an extremist because he saw me on TV heckling the BNP. That complaint was upheld by Kath Doyle and then by Tina Gallagher, the Deputy Director of the Tax Credit Office. HMRC, what that had to do with work, I have no idea what my attendance at a BNP rally, anti-BNP rally for research purposes, I was doing an MA on the BNP for my MA at the local university, had to do with HMRC, I have no idea. But it was upheld and Tony Smith was promoted. So I, in effect, became the first person ever to be charged, convicted and found guilty by HMRC of being an extremist for heckling a neo-Nazi party. It's absolutely disgusting, but because they couldn't get me at work, they couldn't get me outside of work by making false allegations, accusing me of suicide bombers, special support for suicide bombers, and threats, and then stabbing me outside down the street. I was then targeted at work for my academic research, and HMRC went along with it and upheld Tony Smith's complaint I was an extremist threatening the BNP. Like I've said so many times, what it had to do with work I don't know, but how anybody can be an extremist for heckling a party who seeks to remove all non-whites and Jewish people from the civil service in country as a whole, I have no idea.